Sorry, my dog was barking. I had to address that. So assessing these personalities, they're inventories. You're going to take one, true and false, designed to gauge where you fit on these traits. The MMPI is a very commonly used one. You can see a little bit in the PowerPoint about the MMPI. I've taken it before. It's pretty common. The big 5 traits. This is where a lot of research has boiled down to that there are these 5 different factors. So instead of 4, instead of 9, instead of 2, there's 5. And research has shown that this is the level of factors that probably explains them the most. So conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness, and extroversion. You can look at the PowerPoint to see kind of how those are divided up, what end you're on, and what that means. How stable are these traits? So if you have them at 17, well, you likely have them at 17. Research shows that they are very stable in adulthood. So if you're exhibiting these habits right now, you're probably going to keep them for the rest of your life. Are they heritable? 50% or so are heritable. What about other cultures? Turns out that these big 5 personality traits are common amongst all cultures that we have studied. Okay, so that's a trait perspective, personality based on these traits. So there are obviously criticisms of this. Mischel points out that the traits may be enduring, but the behavior is not necessarily enduring. So you may have, for example, you may be introverted, but you may have different situations that require you to act differently. So we can know what trait you have, but we can't necessarily know, we can't predict based on what traits you have how you're going to respond. That the situation may require more of you than the actual trait itself. So traits are socially significant and influence our thinking on a variety of things. The last big, I think it's the last one to look at is expressive style. So social cognitive perspective. This is Bandura, and Bandura says that personality is a result of the interaction that takes place between a person and their social context. So it's not just your traits, it's not just your genes, it's not just like Freud would say your sexual energy from childhood. It's the interaction between who you are as a person and your society. So there are different ways that you act based on your context. So you may be one way at home and a totally different way at school, for example. Now, while your situations are going to shape how you act, your personalities are also going to shape which situations you pick out. So if you're introvert, you're probably not going to go to those big parties as often. So it goes back and forth. So that's the primary thing to know about there. Personal control is another huge part of this social cognitive perspective. This is, do you think that you control your environment or does your environment control you? So external locus of control, you're blaming everything on factors outside of your control. So it's everyone else's fault, or it's the world's fault, it's something else. Internal locus of control, you feel like you can control your own fate. You're in charge. It's not the world's happening to you, but you're happening to it. So external locus of control can lead to learned helplessness. And it happens like this. Something bad happens and you realize, I couldn't have controlled it. There's nothing I could have done. So you feel helpless. And then that feeling of helplessness continues to spiral downward in that sense. So you can see how external locus of control can lead to that. Optimism and pessimism, attributional style. Do you take every situation and explain it positively or negatively? And again, it's not always one or the other, and it's not like you do this 100% of the time. But we do look at, are you usually looking on the bright side or not so much? So positive psychology works with this, and you can take a look into that. The social cognitive perspective. Critics say that it pays too much attention on the individual situation and not enough on the actual individual, the person's unconscious mind, their genes, etc. You can kind of decide which one of these approaches to personality you are thinking works the most well for you. The other concept here, two concepts, self-esteem, you can look at that, and then self-serving bias. So this is a really interesting concept where if something good happens, we say, yeah, we did that. and we take credit for it. If something bad happens, we blame someone else. Like that, obviously, we couldn't have done anything about that. So it kind of goes back and forth. So those are your main topics for this week. Let me know, of course, if you have any questions. And I hope you enjoy taking the personality test. I always think this is super interesting. So thanks. Bye.